Hello and welcome to DLR Libraries Storytime in conjunction with Children Books Ireland. Today we're going to read tales from Old Ireland as retold by Malachy Doyle and illustrated by Niamh Sharkey with kind permission of Barefoot Books. So let's begin. Today's story is called Lusmore and the Fairies. There was a poor man living in the green glen of Laoghaire-Rathdown at the foot of Galtee Mountains, and he had a hump on his back the size of a football. Lusmore, as he was known, for he always wore a sprig of foxglove in his hat, looked as if his body had been rolled and put up on his shoulders. When he sat down, the hump was so heavy that it pushed his head all the way to his knees. The country people were shy of meeting him alone, for although he was harmless, evil folk had put out strange stories about him. Some said he was a changeling, a child of the fairies. Others said he must be in league with the devil, which was a terrible lie, for you'd have to cross 7 counties to meet a kinder man. Lusmore spent his days sitting on a stool at his Scottish door, plaiting rushes into hats and baskets. He was an expert at his trade, and he could get more for his work than anyone else in the land. He lived on his own on the edge of the village of Kappa, and one morning he was up before dawn to take his hats and baskets to the market in Cahir. He had a good day and sold every one, but he was weary going home, and his hump was weighing heavy on his back. It was dark by the time he reached the old mound of Laoghaire-Rathdown, so, not looking forward to the great distance he had still to travel, poor old Lusmore sat down to rest. He was almost dropping off to sleep when, what should he hear but the strangest song? Monday, Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday. That's how it went, before stopping a second or two and beginning again. Lusmore thought he'd never heard such sweet, high-pitched singing. It was like the sound of many tiny voices, all blending in with one another, and he listened closely, scarcely drawing his breath. He looked all around to try and work out where the sound was coming from, and realised to his amazement that he couldn't be from anywhere but inside the mound. Pressing his ear to the grass, he listened even more closely to the sweet sounds, but after a while the music, which had at first seemed so beautiful, began to bore him. Lusmore started to think it was a shame that the only thing the fairies sang was Monday, Tuesday, over and over. It was as though they didn't know what was supposed to follow. So the next time they paused at the end of their round, Lusmore took up the tune himself and added a little bit in the silence. Monday, Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. The fairies of Laoghaire-Rathdown, for they were the singers, were delighted when they heard Lusmore's addition to their tune and listened while he sang the whole thing through. Why didn't we think of that before? Said the king of the fairies, appearing before them. It's perfect. And who are you that brought us such a gift? I'm Lusmore, said our man, in awe, for he'd never spoken to a fairy before, and I'm very glad you like my words. I'd be honoured to have you take them up, for you sing so beautifully. Well, you're such a great man for the music, Lusmore, said the king, more skilled than any of us. Would you come down to meet the rest of my people, for I'm sure they'd all like to thank you for themselves. There's nothing would give me greater pleasure, said the hunchback. He followed the king of the fairies along a dark tunnel that led into the hill until they arrived at a magnificent palace. The fairies gave him a hearty welcome and asked him to sing the song. Through again, they danced around him, listening and singing till they were sure they had mastered it. Then they invited him to sit at the head of the table next to the king, where they were about to have a great feast. When they had finished their banquet, Lusmore joined in the dancing until the fairy king called for a halt to the music and stepped up to him, saying, Lusmore, Lusmore, the hump which you bore on your back is no more. Look down on the floor, Lusmore. The man looked down to the ground and saw the hump tumble from his shoulders. Lusmore straightened his back for the very first time in his life, only to find out he was so tall that his head scraped the ceiling of the ground wall. As he looked around, the joy and the beauty made him dizzy. His eyesight grew dim and he fell into a deep sleep. He awoke to a broad daylight. The sun was shining, the birds were singing, and he found himself at the foot of the mound of Laoghaire-Rathdown. with the cows and sheep grazing all around. The first thing Rushmore did was to feel for his hump, to see if he'd only been dreaming, but sure enough it was gone. He stood up and stretched, and wasn't it wonderful to feel his back straight, and to be able to hold up his head up to the sky, tall and proud. He looked at himself up and down, and saw a well-shaped, dapper sort of a fella, in a brand new suit that the fairies had made for him. He stepped out lightly towards Kappa with a newfound spring in his step. No one he met along the way recognised him, and he was hard-pressed to convince them that he was old Rushmore the basket maker. It wasn't long before his story got out, though, and a great fuss was made of him by young and old. One morning he was sitting contented at the door of the cottage when an old woman came up to him, asking the way to Kappa. "Sure, you're there already," said he. "Who are you looking for?" "I've come all the way from Waterford looking for a man called Rushmore," she said. "Who I hear tell had his hump removed by the fairies. There's a son of mine has a hump also, and I want him to find out the charm so he can get rid of it." "I'm the man you're after," said Rushmore, and being a good-natured folk, he told her all that happened and how he raised the tune for the little people, how his hump had been taken from his shoulders, and how he got a new suit of clothes into the bargain. The woman thanked him, hurried home to fetch her son, but Jack Madden, for that was his name, wasn't a bit like Rushmore. Nasty people take all shapes and forms, from fat to thin, from ugly to beautiful, and this particular fellow was one of the worst. He won person on a cart, for he was too lazy to work, and pushed him towards Laoghaire-Rathdown. The grumpy man complained every inch of the way. His mother left him sitting on the grassy mound, and went off to spend the night in Cahir. Jack Madden hadn't been there long enough when he heard the tune, coming from the fairy hill, and if Rushmore had heard sweet music, the tune Jack Madden heard was 10 times sweeter, for instead of stopping at Monday, Tuesday, it carried on, round and round, and even rounder, thanks to Rushmore's help. Monday, Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Monday, Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But Jack Madden had no tune, no ear for a tune. All he wanted was to get rid of his hump, and his mother had told him how to do something to it. So he never thought to listen to the music, to see if he could improve on it. Instead, having heard the fairies sing it over and over, 7 times without stopping, out he bawled, never mind the tune. "Thursday, Friday," he screeched at the top of his voice, thinking if one day was good, then 2 days were better, and he might even get an extra suit of clothes into the bargain. No sooner had the words passed his lips than he was whisked into the hill with prodigious force, and the fairies were all around him in great anger. "What's that horrible noise?" they screamed. "You spoiled our tune," they roared, and the fairy king stepped up to him and said, Jack Madden, your words are so bad in the tune we feel glad in. Your life will sadden, 2 humps for Jack Madden." And 20 of the strongest fairies came up carrying Rushmore's hump and pressed it down on Jack Madden's back, where it stayed for the rest of the days. They put Jack Madden out of their castle and into the pitch dark night, and in the morning his mother found him at the foot of the mound, with a hump twice the size it was the day before. "What happened, Jack?" she asked, and he wouldn't tell her for fear the little people might put a third hump in his back. She put him in the cart and wheeled him home to Waterford. Everyone said that's the sort of thing that happens if you don't pay proper respect to the fairies, and they're right.